let's talk about American presidents. So this is 2019. So, Donald Trump has been president for what, 2 years now? And so 2 years from now, we will have elected a new president unless he's reelected. But let's imagine, so with Barack Obama, he was known as the first black president. I never saw it that way. I always saw him as the first biracial president. And I say that because he was actually raised by a white mother in the heartland. He only met his father a few times throughout his lifetime. And yes, he has African DNA. Let's say that he's half African DNA, but culturally raised by a white mother, though I'm sure he was perceived as black or biracial growing up. So there's an African American identity, and the fact that he's married to an African American. And so people say it's the first black president. I still say first biracial. Either way, though, here's what that did, though, in American history. When we look at all the presidents we had up until him, he was the first president and only president to not just simply have European DNA. We don't know for a fact that there were any other U.S. presidents that were truly anything beyond just simply European. There's been speculation that Abraham Lincoln might have been of Jewish descent. Abraham, that there were Jewish groups in England where his ancestors came from, but that's not the same as being outright just Jewish. We've not had a Jewish president. We have not had a Hispanic or Latino president at this yet. We have not had a gay president. We have not had an atheist president. We have not had a president that, religion, as far as being identifying as anything other than something in the Christian mindset. We have not had a president who was presently single or divorced. Now, granted, Ronald Reagan was the first president to have been divorced. Nancy Reagan was his second wife. And of course, Donald Trump is the first president to have had two ex-wives. But there's several firsts in there. So it makes me wonder, in our next election, will we find someone who's first in some other way? I wonder. And I think it's only a matter of time, and it may still be a long time, it may be 20 years, but I think eventually we're even going to see the first president who's not a Republican or Democrat. I mean, we could say in theory we came pretty close, an election of 92? I mean, at least it was being talked about when it was between George Bush and Bill Clinton. There was some talk that a third party could have won it. And I really think that that's the future of America anyway. I think that especially as my generation and younger end up becoming the main thought. See, my generation and younger, a general disinterest in politics. We see the dichotomy on this side of the Republicans and this side of the Democrats, and I don't want to have to identify as one and put all of my faith in one side, where here's a discussion about the wall, and here's a discussion about, okay, well, we just made abortion legal for women who are 9 months pregnant, and now that's legal. Like, we're seeing these extremes pulling away, dividing America. But will it be that ultimately America becomes so divided that the mainstream normal way of thinking is, like this libertarian right here, who thinks, how about middle of the road? How about we agree that there's certain parts of each that are good and others that are bad, and we're not so focused on looking at one direction that we're separating ourselves? Could it be that the Democrats and Republicans, it's like the waters part, and then up from within is the younger generations who are disinterested in politics and want things to actually be functional instead of this tug of war back and forth every 4 years? I think that if we are going to see America continue in a healthy fashion, that's what we're going to have to see happen. I think, and my friend Muhammad and I were talking about it tonight, that ultimately, the more polarized we are politically as a nation, we're only setting ourselves up for another civil war, or we're making ourselves vulnerable to be attacked by another country, because we are becoming a nation divided against itself to where that we can no longer stand. I don't think that we can be so polarized and continue to be surviving as a good and healthy country. I think what's going to happen is we're either setting ourselves up for civil war or to be attacked by another country because again we're divided, or we're going to change our vision and think we need to be more middle of the road about stuff and stop seeing the other political side as the enemy, stop seeing them as idiots, stop seeing them as immoral, because they're seeing us the same way. We need to stop doing that and instead have a new vision for our future. That's what I believe. Is there anyone who's willing to agree with me right here in the comments?